Hi guys, Paolo here, and the model I would like to introduce you today is the Alfa Romeo 156 wtcc 2005 edition, and it is the version racing in the tourism car in the World Championship of Tourist Car of 2005. This is the second version of this car because Alfa Romeo made a previous version of the 156 with a different front end and much more similar to the production car. The body that I made here, it's not completely scratch build, it's taken from a die cast. I don't know which film it was because it was surely not the Burago I took, but it was a crap model, so it basically too ugly toy, and there is no use for such item. I never define it like a model because it's really a toy. I think this was something from a collection of fireman vehicles, because the car in the original was red, and I stripped down completely all the paint. I cleaned the body inside to take away the mold lines from the injection in metal, and then I went on. Basically, the hardest part was to reproduce the front end with the different lights and the different front spoiler of this car, as well as recreate the back bumper and all the parts that were different. This second version of the 156 Alpha was the restyling car, so it had different bumpers, had different lights, minor parts, but the overall appeal of the car completely changed, and the wheel arches have been increased using very thick plastic art, very hard also to work with. It was a 3 mm thick, and then reshaped in the proper dimension to have the proper width, you can see, of the Alpha, and I think the shape is basically taken, and the overall look is like the Alpha of 2005. This was a mighty car because they used this one immediately after the Alpha 155. It was the previous one that everybody built up in DTM and ITC series version from Tamiya. This was the following vehicle, absolutely winning car. They raced for nearly 10 years with this car, with several modifications, of course, but the basics was always the 156. Was a very, very good chassis, and was a very, very performance car. And it was a car that I met in reality in 2006 when I was the truck driver for Honda Racing Cars, And so I seen the car for real. Was extremely aggressive, very, very beautiful vehicle, and I think it deserves a model in 124 scale. Nothing exists of this car. I think just quite decent 143 scale from diecast collection, already finished model, so nothing that the model have to do. The missing part that I have here, it is the wheels. They are currently under production by KMP Andrea Brivio, and I hope Andrea is able to make a very good work like he always did for my previous models. Nearly all my wheels are made by him, and it was a 17-inch rim. All these cars were racing with a 17-inch rim, identical on all four wheels, and the size that I used to keep the proper wheel arch proportion was coming from a 17-inch from a Porsche, just featuring a very, very nice but not properly correct for this car BBS rims inside. So anyway, the dimension of the wheel was that. The missing part of this master, it is about interiors. I still have to create them, and the interior part, it's quite tricky because it is a production car. So anyway, you see the frame of the original steel monocoque that they used in these cars. So I will see. I want to see if I find something, not to become mad and make too many details that at the end will not be seen, because this is meant to be like a curbside model if it will go into production. My idea is in a way to make the car in racing, because I think it can be quite simple, not too pricey for the kind of models we are talking about. So out racing model kits, it's never something that come cheap, but I am sure that this is a very, very interesting model that nearly everybody loving this kind of tourism car will have in the proper connection. The overall shape, I think, is taken. The overall proportion is that, and the body exists now. So the body have been made also. Guys that like slot racing and so on, they can use the chassis of an ordinary slot racing, probably place over carbon fiber version of this body or a resin version, depending from their purpose, you know. One of the nicest part of this works is always the artwork by Andrew. Andrew Zed is my mate making the livery for my models, for my cars, and he made this sheet, and it's a sheet meant for my purpose. So because we cannot work like high numbers printer like cartograph, all the major companies do, I just produce them in artisanal way, I dare to say. So usually the mistakes and the whites are not so covering parts, and I like to have more option over the paper. So if you have a mistake, if you destroy a decal, it is not that you are done and how to do, but you have several options, and you can try to rebuild it by your own. So I think it's a good option, you know. Italian flag and so on. It's a very, very nice sheet, and you always make excellent, excellent parts for this model. So that's it. I dare to say then that the model is now complete. If I have the body, if I have the wheels, if I have the decal sheet, I think it's complete at 70%. It's still a 30% missing, and a refining part of the overall master model at the end. Dashboard already have been done. The transparency I have, thanks God, they fit in the same way like the street car, despite they are much more simple, usually much more uglier on a racer than on a production car. But I think that's it. So I think the model it's anyway looking like really a Alfa 156 from 2005. Of course, the choice would be our Fabrizio Giovanardi, a legendary pilot we have in Italy, you know, kind of lions, kind of Nigel Mansell pilots of this car, you know, and I like him a lot. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.